he is. Now I can see your face. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the Colorado event. We'll talk about the upcoming stuff going on. Hopefully we'll have that Salt Lake City event. And then also he's also signed up for the Cerberus Charleston event. So a few events coming up. I mean, I guess let's just, introduce yourself. You want to talk about, what you've been through, what you've done. I know you've been with us for a long time as far as training aspects go. So,
yeah, I think my first round was back on round 20. So I've been with you for 13 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 rounds, I think.
That's a decent chunk.
Yeah. Never missed a round. I was hooked from the first one. So I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So it was
nice. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to have you. I mean, you're sort of a face of heavy drop training. When people, sign up, they know who you are, and then in the rounds, you're posting your crazy stuff where you're maximizing everything that you possibly have in your body to do what you do. So the weights and the distances and the runs and the rucks and stuff, you're always putting out 110%. So
absolutely.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, I guess that segues into the Colorado event, where I think, in my opinion, I think the core workout, that first core workout, I think that was the turning point for you, because I think you had a little hiccup.
Yep.
It was sort of like the uh-oh moment. And I know Liz was talking about, like, that was where she expected to not finish in first place. Like she was like, core is sort of my spot where I'm like, Kyle's gonna beat me probably on stuff. So she was already like, sort of like, all right, watching you and stuff. But then you had the little hiccup, and then you had to go back. And I think she saw a window of opportunity, and I think you wanted to shut that window of opportunity, and I think you put it all out there.
I did, yeah.
And I think that's where you probably put your body in that position of like, what the hell did we just do?
Yeah, it was the point of no return, I think, after that workout.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that too, as far as stuff goes. So I mean, let's just, whatever you want to talk about as far as that event goes. Obviously that core workout, I think, stuck with a lot of people as far as being a rough one.
That was definitely an ass kicker. Anybody who's done a round of HDT I always mess something up, whether it be the movement, the numbers, or whatever. But I usually mess up with having to do more than I normally have to do. But in this case, we were supposed to do, I believe, 4-count sandbag rotations, and in my head, I was thinking, okay. The previous two exercise workouts were like always 50, 50. And then this one, I think, was the first time, maybe there was a few hundreds, that you were like 104 counts. And I was doing the math in my head. I was like, okay, sweet, 200. So I just 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 200. And I was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And then,
you 2-counted them.
I 2-counted them, yeah, exactly. Yep. And so. And I was like looking around when I was doing my get-ups, and I was like, why is everybody still doing rotations? They shouldn't be that long. And then you come over and go, are you sure? and then that got me started thinking, and I was like, oh, shit. No, just as I finished my 25th get-up, I was like, no, that I messed up, and so I had to go back and restart. And
and I zeroed you out too on those get-ups. So that was, I felt bad doing that, because I know get-ups they're rough. I mean, they're for full body workout, and they're, never an exercise that you want to have to redo. They're great exercise, don't get me wrong, and I love them. I think they're one of the best exercises out there. But when it comes to get-ups, it's like if somebody was like, hey, you just did 25 get-ups, but now you have to start from zero, that would be so deflating to me. I'd be like, really? I have to do that? I would be just deflated. But you took it the other way. So you went the opposite route on that one.
Yep. I kicked it into high gear, busted out the last 200 of the rotations, and then started from zero to work my way up to 50 get-ups again. Ended up catching Liz, I believe, on the Carl Fredricksons.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, those were, after doing 50 get-ups, having to do 50 Carls was not fun.
Yeah, soul crusher.
But yeah, I think I overexerted myself on that WOD, thinking, because I am a very competitive person, and I was like, no, I need to finish first. And I wanted to finish first.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing with this event. Nobody signs up for this event that's not competitive, but at the same time, I always say it, like, you want to be at the end of the event. Like, don't get me wrong, the points are nice and all, but you still, like, if you don't finish the event, the points mean nothing. Like, you literally could have 100. Like, I still think, if I remember right, you were still second place at the end of this event. Like, I think you were still in second. Yeah, you were either second or third, but you were like, if it was third, you guys were really close. Liz had like 160 points or something, and then it was like you and Mike and Curtis were all sort of in this little spot. I think Mike was either second or third based on the points, and I think Curtis was in fourth. But yeah, you guys, you three basically were all in the same little ball basically at the end there. So yeah, you were killing it, and you and Liz were basically neck and neck for everything for the most part. But again, it doesn't matter if you're in second place at the end, but you're not at the finish.
And that's the biggest takeaway I took from that event is to stop. You've got to basically got to cut your losses somewhere, and I should have just maintained the steady rhythm I was maintaining up to that point instead of kicking a high gear and said, I'll just get on the next one.
Yep.
And that was,
it's in the end, it's funny when you look, hindsight's 20/20, but when you look at it, it's like the points literally meant nothing at the end, because even if you were the last person, it didn't matter if you had 2 points, you still would have been first place if you would have climbed the rope and got to the top. So it's like literally the points absolutely meant nothing by the end of the event. No matter who was there at the end, it would have meant absolutely nothing, because again, it didn't matter that Liz had 168 points. Like, I still kept track of it, even though she was the only one. I was like, I'll still keep track of it because you earned to be here, and I'll keep track of it. But it didn't matter if I added points or took points away or anything. So, and I think that's the biggest thing with our the Cerberus event is, you gotta slow your pace down and make sure that you're there at the finish before you worry about the points, because the points will fall where they may. It's if you're a stud, you're a stud. It's just how it's going to be. But yeah, and again, I've told everybody it was very tough to break that news to you as far as the 24-hour mark or 23-hour mark, because like I said, everybody in our community all expected you to be at the finish. Like, there wasn't a person I asked. They were all surprised. They were like, no way, he's not in it anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's med drop. Like, we just didn't feel comfortable him moving on, with everything going on. And even I tell people too, I'm like, mentally and physically, he felt he could do it. It was just a matter of every once in a while he has those moments where he couldn't do something, or he was potentially going to put himself at risk or anything like that. So
I remember, after we got out of our break from the van, and Greg was telling everybody to get their wet kit back on, and so I got up and started getting dressed, and he's like, hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? And I'm like, I'm going. And then that's when you two came in and cut me. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to go.
Oh, I know you were. Like I said, it all came down to the night movement and the fact that you guys were going to be on the mountain. If anything potentially happens while you're out there, you start vomiting and you fall, or you start vomiting and pass out, or any of that stuff happens, or it turns into a real medical emergency. Like I said, we still don't really know what you were vomiting up. I'm pretty sure it was dark bile, to be honest with you, but we never took it to the lab or anything or got checked. So there's no real way to know what was going on. So like Curtis told me, and that was when I was texting you that night, Curtis was like, we know he's puking and it's abnormal. He should go to the hospital. And I was like, I agree, and that's when I was like, you should just go to the hospital, just to
Right.
not chance it. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those scenarios where, if it was daytime still and we are still doing the same stuff we had been doing, we probably would have let you keep going as long as you were able to keep stuff down, to a certain extent, because you weren't really puking up your fluids even. It wasn't even water coming up. It wasn't coming up. It was, like I said, I think it was when you had an empty stomach and then it was just some bile coming up.
Right.
And, more or less you kept the fluids down. So it was one of those scenarios where if you were still keeping fluids and staying hydrated, is more induced by exercising stuff, then we let it go to a certain point to see how it goes, and maybe it goes away. But being that 24-hour mark where we were getting ready to do night navigation stuff, and you were going to be on the trail by yourself, more or less, and Colorado, it's not like it's a flat terrain,
Yeah.
We didn't.
I remember because it was funny because Curtis was, after we did that. It was a 3 mile run, wasn't it? Or was it 5? It was a 5 mile run.
The 5 mile run, yep, 5 mile run. Yeah, in the canyon.
Yeah, that's when things went downhill for me. Right at I had a quarter mile left, and Liz and I were just, going back and forth the entire time. And then she alluded to this, that she turns back and I was just gone because I had to stop within about a quarter mile of the finish line to vomit. And Curtis came in. He's like, "Yeah, I thought a deer took a shit on the trail because it looked like deer droppings because you just saw like all the black stuff." Like, yeah, it's gnarly. But,
so it was black then too, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, at least it wasn't coffee grounds. If it was coffee grounds, man, we would have called the ambulance. So
yeah.
Just so all you watchers out there know, it wasn't coffee ground looking. It wasn't, internal bleeding scenario happening or anything like that. But if it was, it would have been an instant 911 to get you to the hospital. It was, like I said, I think that core workout, just your body went into like a complete shock from that workout. And I don't think you ever really recovered from it. Or
a lot of other people. I think that workout alone is what triggered a lot of people. It was just, man, that was an ass kicker.
Yeah,
I know that Curtis, he started cramping up in the abdomen when we were carrying those rowers down the street.
Yep.
And then we all know what happened to him. He just full body cramp by the end of the day.
He was cramping during the workout. He was actually cramping during the workout. So so I walked over to him a couple times and he's sitting there just going like this and like trying to loosen up his wrists and his elbows, like stretching stuff out. And he started cramping up on that workout basically. So, it was, and it wasn't even like, super humid or hot out, to be honest. It was decent, but it wasn't super, hot or anything. But with him though, I think ultimately we figured out he doubled his water intake the day before to try to hydrate, and I think he flushed everything out. And then we were playing behind the 8 ball basically the whole entire event, and I don't think we ever caught. There's moments I think where we caught up a little bit, but it was so minute that it was like, hey, look, I'm not cramping for like 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden the next set of reps he goes into, he's cramping, so he's already back behind the 8 ball again. So I mean, both of you guys, it was tough to actually do the med drops on, because that was, you guys were still mentally and physically capable outside of your limitations you had basically on your vomiting and his cramping. So I'm excited to see you guys in Charleston. So Charleston's going to be an awesome event. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. And
me too.
I mean, I know you and him both have unfinished business now with this event. So it'll be a fun one to watch you guys take on.
Nice.
So, how's your training going for Charleston?
Intense.
Yeah,
it's going good. Yeah, I've spiced things up quite a bit on top of my normal things. So it's every day I go downstairs where I do my workouts, and I've got I printed out a picture of the Cerberus Charles. Kind of like Rocky Balboa on the mirror.
Yeah. All right.
I've got my solid red patch that I wear on my vest the entire time to remind me constantly that I I DFQ'd, and that was actually my first DFQ.
Yeah.
So it's a hard pill to swallow, and it's constantly in the back of my mind. So it's every day I go down there, I just go, okay. I picture myself actually in the event and go to it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm expecting when you show up to Charleston, it's gonna be like you're gonna be just a man on a mission, and it's gonna be just intense, like to watch from my standpoint. Like I'm gonna be because that's one of the perks I get while doing these events. I get to actually like watch. It's like entertainment to me to see you guys going out there and putting it all out like that. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be an awesome time. How's your rope climbing doing?
Good.
Good. All right. Cool.
Yeah. I still need to find a place. Like I know how to climb a rope. I haven't really done much of climbing a rope with weight.
Yeah.
I know I can do it. It's just I need to find a place that I can do it while fatigued.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the big thing. Like I said, with like anybody training for this, do it fatigued, but do it safely fatigued, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to go all the way to the top of the rope. Get a couple loops in, all the way up, come back down, go back up, come back down. Like, 2 poles and, come back down type thing. That's what I would do. I wouldn't go find a 30-foot rope and be do it. Unless you have people that are there to, spot you or, padding below you or something. Like we just did Ruckfest, and Greg and I were there, and we basically donated our rope to them to have as the final event of the whole thing with the top, I think it was top 8 taking it on. The final event, they had to do the rope climb at the very end with the kit and everything up twice, like we do with, or actually they might have only done it once. But they had to do it at the very end, completely smoked, and it was tough. We had 2 people that couldn't get up, and we caught people. Like, it was one of those things where we're like, we know we can catch people, but we've never catch people type thing. It was one of those scenarios where like, all right, well, if we have to, we can do it, but we never had to do it or test it out. But we had to catch. We had probably about 5 or 6 catches that we had to do with the. With some of those people there. So, yeah, it went smooth though. Like we actually had it down to a science after like the first one. First one we did. We were like, that's how
after the first one.
The first one worked out great. Thank God. But so in the end, same concept. If in Charleston, nobody has to be, overly concerned that they're going to fall and stuff. And, we'll be there. We'll catch people. That's, the big thing, I think, training-wise is people have to focus on that rope climb. At the same time, don't get too hung up on it, though, at the same time, because you have to get all the way to the rope climb. Like, right. You can do the rope climb, but if you can't survive the rest of it, then it doesn't even matter. In Charleston, we're going to have a lot of different stuff to play with. We're not going to have the mountains in this case, but, like Colorado has. But we got oceanfront, we got, a city set up. There's a lot of, it's a little bit different than the other 3 events in all honesty, because even Cleveland, we were in Twinsburg, which doesn't really have a city atmosphere to it. Sarasota, really the only city aspect we did was we went to the beach, and that was pretty much it. And then Colorado Springs is more just in the mountains than it is anything else, really. So this one will be a little bit different because we'll actually have more of a city feel to it going into it and stuff. So it'll be interesting. We're going to have a lot of probably people watching us and trying to figure out what we're doing and asking questions and stuff as we're, doing stuff to you guys. So, but yeah, it'll be a good one. I got some stuff, so
I'm sure you do.
I got some stuff. You're getting sort of some of the potential information in a way through the plus version, because I'm training you guys to take this event on. I'm not going to hold back on my training. No. I want you guys to finish. So I train you guys knowing what potentially I could do to you guys. So I'm putting it all out there for you.
Well, I've seen some similarities with just within this round itself. Like I had flashbacks of Colorado.
Oh yeah.
This workout is kind of set up to where I think he's gearing it towards his events kind of thing. So
yeah. Especially the plus stuff. I mean, the plus stuff definitely. If you're doing any of the plus work, anybody's doing any of the plus work out there. That's the kind of stuff that's gonna just sort of pop up in the middle of a workout, type thing. Like, I can already tell you there's gonna be a Q Mod 6, so that should be a given to anybody now. There's gonna be, some other stuff. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but there's gonna be other stuff. We'll use some ropes. We'll use some, chains maybe or something like that too. But yeah.
How do you go about choosing which Q mods to do? Go at like 30 hours into an event, because surely you can't like expect somebody to do 5 out of 6 that you would normally do, like let's say at a throwdown where everybody's fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I have all the stats. So luckily people do log their stuff sometimes. And, in all honesty, like, I look at people like yourself or others that I would say are at a high level. And in an event like that, my expectation would be somebody like yourself or at a high level would be able to do this in a certain amount of time. Now, I take the averages that I have, and then I look at, like, maybe it's you or Tim or Chip or some of the other guys I know that are, training for bigger events and stuff like that. And then I look at the averages amongst them as a whole. And then I try to figure out, okay, well, if this one took this long on average for the normal person, and this is what it took for those guys that I know that are really pushing themselves, then I try to find something in the middle. And what I'll do then is I'll take that one and I'll put that number down. Maybe it's like 33 minutes. And then I'll look at something else and I'll be like, all right, I need to have something that's not going to take 30 minutes because that would be half of the whole thing at that point. So then I'm finding something, maybe it's just a run, right? So like the first Q mod that they had was basically a ruck run, right? So it took, I think Liz was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds and Mike was like 3 minutes and 56 seconds or something. So, that right there is like, hey, this should take you no more than like 3 to 5 minutes. So that's one done, piece of cake. Then it was overhead ruck, go around for a quarter mile. So that shouldn't take more than maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? So each one is stacked on top of the next one, but the next one gets harder. So the last one's probably the one that's going to take the most time. But again, I have the averages, I have the numbers, and I basically plug the numbers in to equal out to roughly 2 hours.
So what you're saying is I need to basically double my time when I log my Q bar.
No, don't do that. You'll mess my whole thing up. No.
I get it.
I mean, I there's, we've been doing quarter miles now for almost a year, 2 years, year and a half at least. So, I mean, when we have 100 people, and don't get me wrong, only probably 60, 70% actually log stuff consistently. But when we have 100 people per round and we have, multiple rounds and stuff, there's a lot of data there. I have tons of data. It's all of the logs, if I wanted to go through, I could tell you the average person should increase their push-ups in 2 years with us by X number of, reps. I could literally start plugging and playing with all the data we have, and I could actually create so much information out of our program. I probably should do it, to be honest.
That's like a good selling point, yeah.
It's a selling point to be able to say, like, well, this is 2 years or 3 years or whatever. I think we started logging stuff on the site. It was around 12. So that's probably 3 years or so worth of data there. We have all the Google spreadsheets, though, from the prior rounds also, but that's way more work to go through.
I tell you what, though, it's funny. I was looking back at round 20 when my first one. I was looking at the numbers, and I'm just blown away. Like, yeah. I know that Tim, Nate, and Ray all will say the same thing. Because we all talk, and they have gone back and showed. We've shared it numbers with each other, and it's amazing.
Well, and it's funny. It's funny because it's a progressive movement, right? So it's like that whole thing where, like, you work out and the person that sees you every day doesn't really see a change, right? And then all of a sudden you see the person you haven't seen in like 2 years, and they're like, "Holy smokes, you're just absolutely just ripped. What happened to you? What are you doing?" And you're like, "Oh, I didn't even realize it." Because the same thing happens. It's like every round you're just slowly increasing weight because you feel like you need to make it heavier, and then all of a sudden you get to this point and you look back and it's like, I was using a 60-pound sandbag for like everything basically, and now I'm using like 100 and 120-pound sandbag, but you never really noticed it as a big jump because it was always just a slow progress going through.
Right.
So it's always interesting when you do go back and look at that stuff.
Yeah, I remember doing sand dune with the 60, and there was one round I actually did it with 100, and I was like a half of a round short.
Yeah.
Of beating my first round with the 60. So it was like, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you start looking at the numbers, man. And that's one of the things. Hopefully, with our app coming out and stuff like that, we'll have profiles and stuff. Hopefully, is what we're aiming for. And it'll actually have your stats for, like, workouts and stuff. Like your baseball card stats on the back, batting average, all that stuff. It'll be like, like get-ups. It'll say like, hey, this is the average weight that you've done get-ups at. This is the minimum weight you've done get-ups at, and this is the maximum weight that you've done your get-ups at. And the cool thing with that is we can actually utilize that data to actually spin off for new people and say, hey, this is the average weight that people use, because people don't know how much they should use half the time. So this is the average of what people use. This is the minimum, and this is the maximum weight. So we can actually use that data to even get more interesting stuff put together for the new people who don't know, like, hey, what's a get up? I don't know what I should do. Well, this is the average weight that most people use, so give it a try. But yeah, that's getting off topic on some other stuff. But
speaking of sand dune,
yeah,
that snorkel business, you need to get a picture of Troy with his and put that on the face. That was the highlight of the weekend, I think.
Man, he pulled that thing out, and then Liz even looked over and goes like, "Oh no, he didn't do it." I like looked over at her, and I looked at Troy, and Troy goes, "Well, somebody said," and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna get interesting."
That was so
like
funny.
Darth Vader with his mask on, and I was like, "Oh boy." And then Liz just was over there laughing, and I'm like, yeah, you screwed him over on that one.
Yeah, she did.
I literally posted it, and then right off the bat I switched and got something different. She still had it in the box when I did the interview with her. She like pulled it out of the box and stuff, and I was like, just leave it in the box. It's fine. Return it. I'm not gonna use it, but yeah, that was when Troy pulled that thing out, I was like, man, I couldn't stop laughing for a solid minute there. I was like, I think I snorted a couple times even. So yeah, that was.
Kudos to him for doing it with that thing on. I mean, oh my gosh.
Hey, yeah, he didn't sneak around and get his nose cleared of the mask. I know
that. Nobody said I had to be on properly.
True, and I did. Like I said, I never even caught it until I looked at the picture I took. Like 2-3 days later, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool picture." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, his nose is exposed."
Dang, that is
what's his name? Ian was dying in his. Like, he was full mask. Like, he was like breathing through his mouth only, and he said it was brutal because he had the snorkel in, and like he had the one snorkel where it closes the flap. So like when he took deep breaths in, it would close shut. And then he'd go to throw his stuff over his head, and he'd start doing presses, and he couldn't breathe. I'm like, man, if you can't breathe, like, just take it out. Pay the penalty. Like, you passing out's worse than, paying 5 burpees or whatever it is, for a penalty for taking it out of your mouth, man.
Well, at that point, I had done everybody's penalties for the burpees and with them anyway, with my hands on my hips. Because I think before we even started that, we were 100 burpees in, I swear.
Man, when you guys, when I was doing, it was the PT test. It was the PT test, and I was sitting there going like, "All right, we're about to like I mixed up the burpees even a little bit just to give your arms a little break. I took it. I was like, I'm going to move the burpees to the next thing. I'll have them do prisoner squats first. And then all of a sudden, you guys and then I was like, guys did like 50 burpees, and then all of a sudden it was another whatever burpee,
20.
and I was like, man, now you guys are rolling into 5 minutes of burpees after you've already done like 5 minutes of burpees, basically. I was like, these numbers are not going to be good.
It was all part of my plan to weed them out.
Yeah, and it was funny too because, I mean, I'm sitting there going like in my head, I'm like, Greg, you're smoking them right now. This is now I want to smoke them. Don't smoke them for me. I'm like, this is my section now. I get to do this part. And he's just like, and burpees. Everybody looks over at you and you're like, shit.
Yeah, every time.
Oh yeah, that was funny. And then the worst part is I'm the nice guy, so I just let you guys put your hands on your hips whenever you want, and then you guys get comfortable, and the next thing you know, here comes Greg, and I'm like, all right, guys, peace out.
See ya.
The first thing he does is look at, hey, everybody's hands are on their hips. Let's do some burpees. What do you think? So Greg and I were chit-chatting about this. He plays the nice guy. I play the bad cop. I don't know if anybody could. I don't think people could handle it. I think it'd be too weird.
That would be weird.
I think it'd be tripping. Like people be like tripping out over it. Like I'd be like bad cop guy. So I'd be like mean and not like mean, but like I'd be like doing that kind of stuff, and then he'd be all like, "Hey, just have fun. Hands on your hips, enjoy yourself. Here we go."
I don't know if I could. I don't know. That would be really weird. That would be a twist, though, for sure. How strict would you be, though? That's the question. Like going through all these laws.
I'd have to stick to the standards of the bad cop. I'd have to
totally be a dick.
Yeah, bad cop standards, man. Bad cop standards. That's how it would have to be. The standard's the standard. I'd have to meet that level of bad cop that Greg had in Colorado at least, if not exceed it, and I like to exceed things when somebody puts an expectation on me. So,
well, I know some people out there that would like that because form is an issue with these workouts. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop the workout. Do 20 push-ups or 20 burpees or whatever for not locking your arms out on overheads.
That would be absolutely brutal. That would put workouts. I mean, the cap is that nobody would finish workouts.
No.
Nobody would finish. The hour cap would be exceeded every time, and I'd be like, everybody's getting 0 points basically. Nobody's finishing it. So, yeah, that would be. I don't know. We're gonna have a little talk about this. Jack says not possible. Greg would give in to his demons eventually.
That's true.
Which is probably true. And then I'd have to switch back. It'd get complicated. How you feeling? Hopefully we're going to have this throwdown, man. You're doing competitive, I assume, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get people to sign up, and I'm like, it's right around the corner. People, come on. But I don't know.
Yeah, I was hoping, because we have the sale going on, I was hoping we get some more people signing up, but surprisingly, the majority of the sale purchases were the new out of the barbell events that we put up last minute. So most people jumped in on the barbell events on the sale compared to the throwdowns and other things. So, which is cool. I mean, I got nothing wrong with that. But I was surprised, with Jupiter and Salt Lake and San Diego for that matter, that there wasn't more signups. Because those are all sitting at the will we be there, will we not be there moments. So and I think with where we're at with the Salt Lake City, I think 4 would get us to a point. Hell, even 3. I'll take even whatever. I'll eat McDonald's or something for dinner or something instead of a decent meal, whatever it is. 3 would even get us to a point where I'd be like, all right, screw it, I'll book the flight and make this a go. Because I'll fly in Friday.
How many more competitives need to be done?
I don't know because I've posted about it and I don't think anybody else has commented. Let me see. I can pull it up actually on my phone real quick. Let me see what we got. Because do you know if Mitch is planning on doing competitive?
I believe so, yeah.
So that'd be 2 at least. And then I think there's a guy named Patrick Christensen.
Yep. He would probably be doing the open.
The open one? Okay. Jake Martin, I'd assume he'd probably try for competitive.
Probably. He's done a round or two, I think, of HDT, I think.
Yeah, he's done a couple rounds with it. And then we have Jonathan Kennedy that I know is going to do competitive too. So we'd have 4. We're at 4 right now. So we're good as far as competitive if Jake is going to do competitive. So, yeah, we just need 3-4 more signups and we'll be good.
I can get those.
Yeah, if you get it, I mean, sooner the better because I can at least start looking at flights and see if I can get a cheaper flight because it gets, pricey as things go up. But if it happens, cool, because I've never been to Utah. So would love to be out there and check it out. So,
yeah.
But, yeah,
I mean, out here in October.
You're gonna love the competitive division, man. It's like a taste of a Cerberus event, basically. Because we do, a week's worth of heavy drop basically in that 12 to 16 hours. We do movements, we do quarter miles, we do, anything and everything that you would normally expect in a heavy drop workout week, or more, because we do more than, just one AMRAP even. But yeah, it's a smoke session. But you know what's funny? I'll tell you this. It's really interesting is it's a smoke session, but every single person that finishes, typically, they're not even sore the next day. Like they don't feel sore the next day. Yeah, because I don't know if it's because I bring a Theradrill and let them use it. I don't know if it's because we have the downtime to roll out during break times and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, but everybody I talk to, and I mean we're talking to people who put themselves through the ringer, and they end up coming back and like I'm asking, how's everybody feeling? And everybody's like, a little tender or sore, but nothing that is over the top. I'm sort of surprised. I'm walking good. I'm feeling pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe it's the yoga sessions we mix in every once in a while when I see people are struggling, but it's it's interesting that after doing a whole week's worth of heavy drop, in a short period of time like that, you would expect people to be super sore, but.
Well, that's kind of like with Colorado after we did the 2 sessions with you. So that was essentially 2 weeks of workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got dropped. And then I came back. And I surprisingly, after I was able to get food down and stay down and fluids in, I was perfectly fine. I was literally contemplating going on my 12-miler.
I know you were.
Well, when I mentioned that, because I was like, well, it's the end of the week. I still haven't done my 12-miler. Who's up for it?
I mean, I don't know. You might have got 12 miles in on that event. I don't know. I can't really say for sure, but at that point, 24 hours in, I'd expect you got at least 12 miles. You got a 5-mile run in. I mean, I could argue that you got a 12-miler in a way. But yeah, I mean, it's funny though. It could be I'm sore after a heavy drop workout, so I was gonna say it could be the programming, but the programming is the same as the program for a heavy drop workout, and heavy drop workout usually I'm sore the next day anyways. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like most people after those events, they tend to say they're not really overly sore or anything. So
I mean, hell, I'm still sore from overhead week last week.
Yeah.
My shoulders.
Yeah. Yes. Me as well on that one, actually. Yeah.
I mean, they're sore.
Yeah. They're tender. They're tender. You can feel it when you touch it. Yep. Right there.
Yep.
Right in the traps. Yep.
Right there.
Yeah. Overhead week's always a fun time.
I hate it, which means I love it. I hate overhead week.
Well, hey.
Which means it's my favorite week.
Did you do this week's AMRAP yet?
No, I like to do the AMRAPs after I like to do the 3 main WODs back to back to back. And then
it's a new AMRAP, so it's a new AMRAP.
Oh, I haven't even looked at it. I'll have to take a look.
I put a new AMRAP in there for you guys. It's a good one. It's
What did you name it? You can't remember.
I can't remember, man. I got that COVID brain, man. Something struggles. Something struggles. Um, uh, something. It starts with a C. I can't think of the word, but it's set up in a way that each movement is set up in a way that it's like a superset. So you go back to back upper body, back to back core, clashing. Thank you, Ian. Ian got me on that one. Clashing struggles. So it's, you start off with like a upper body back to back where it's a push pull movement. Then you have core workout where it's a extension and then a flexion of the torso, and then you get to the lower body and it's basically like the quads and the hamstrings. So it's set up that it's basically 3 supersets in a row for each movement that you're going to do. So it's almost like when we do the supersets, except it's basically 3 sets of supersets on a time of 30 minutes. So I'm excited to do it. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to probably try to get it in either tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah, I put that one in. I'm excited to do this one. So
yeah, it's a 30-minute one.
Oh yeah, every time when we got burpee week, it's 30 minutes, 30-minute AMRAP week.
Is that always the case? I haven't noticed.
Always the case. It's either we got Baba Yaga, we got what is it? The Brian Singleton sucks. That's the BSS.
Yeah.
There's another one.
God of Chaos.
Well, God of Chaos. That's usually a week 1 or in week 1, week 6 mix.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that one's usually week 1, week 6. But there's another one. I can't think of the name of it. That's 30 minutes long. Has a lot of man makers in it. Either way. All right. Getting off topic. We're talking heavy drop training now instead of actual other stuff. But yeah. So I mean, what else you got? I mean,
does anybody watching have any questions?
Well, I had my phone open actually because I can't see always the comments on here. Let me see if there's any comments popping up. Christy's been commenting consistently. She loves our nerdiness, or at least the nerdiness of where'd it go? Of the data talk that we had going on there.
Oh yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up the comments around this. Come on now, where are we at?
I was so mad that I got dropped before that hike up.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's the only reason why I wanted to go out there was to hike up that thing.
All right, so let's
what
see.
Was it called? Mount something?
What's that?
What was the staircase that they had to climb? What was that called again?
Oh, the Manitou Incline.
Manitou Incline. Yeah,
Yep.
I was bummed that I got dropped before that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an iconic thing. Like it's, I didn't even get to do it because Greg pushed the timeline up a little bit, so he ended up getting them done earlier on something, and was like, hey, I'm just going to roll them right into the Manitou Incline. It was like 4 a.m. I'm like, man, I just got into bed like 2 hours ago. Like, man, I don't really want to get out of bed and go do that right now because I was hoping to do it at 6, 7-ish was the original plan. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I can function on 2 hours of sleep over the next, 12 hours, essentially. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to sleep in. So let me know when you're done.
You timed it perfectly. They got it to the top right when the sun rose. That was
awesome. Man, it was perfect. I mean, the picture that Liz took was amazing. So it was awesome. Like I said, I'll go back to. We'll have to go back to Colorado Springs. I got a bunch of patches. I mean, I got a whole bunch of patches. Just sitting there.
You should, because it's really close to me.
Yeah, no, I think we'll probably go back there. It was a really good event, and I think the area, the terrain, the gym was awesome. Shout out to CrossFit SoCo. It was the whole thing was awesome. And
it was a really smoothly
definitely could see us coming back to Colorado Springs again. it'll definitely be different. We're not going to roll with the same exact event or anything like that, but it'll be maybe in the area at some point. It probably won't be anytime soon, but I could definitely see it happening in the next, maybe 2 years or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, because we're running these 6 months at a time, basically, give or take. So I know we got Charleston lined up right now. Greg has his plans of where he wants to do his location at, and then Shredder will pick his location, and then he'll come back to me, and then I don't know. I haven't decided that far. That's like a year and a half away from now, so I haven't thought that far ahead. Charleston's my pick, so we'll focus on that one for now before I start thinking about other locations. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in San Diego, a West Coast location like that. Shredder's out that way. That's his area and stuff, and we got some, people out there that I think would sign up for it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Cool.
All right, let's see here. Jack, there's a better event in Jupiter. I'm telling you, man. I don't know what event you got going on in another location, but Jupiter's going to be awesome if we get it to go. Let's see here. Any other questions? Let me scroll through. All right. As of right now, there are nobody's asking questions. Cool. You're not approachable, I guess.
I guess not.
You're a scary man.
They're afraid I'm gonna puke on them. Probably.
I was gonna say your superpower is the puking ability. They're nervous. Anybody have questions for Kyle? You got like 6 people watching, so. Come on, give me a question, anybody. All right, I'll come up. Let's see. Which of the boards, the HVT boards, are you not on right now?
I think I'm on all of them.
You're on all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta come up with something special for you then. If you're on all of them, I feel like you gotta get like a special coin or something. I mean, that
would be cool.
Yeah, I gotta get you something. Like buy a gift of some sort.
Made the prisoner squats just recently, so.
Well, yeah. That one's an interesting one because it's as much a physical feat as it is a planning and like focus. Type feat. Because you jump too high, it cuts time out. If you don't break 90, you lose those reps. So it's a tough one to get. I mean, there's only 3 of us in it: you, me, and Kevin. So that's a tough one. I think just the form aspect's going to be what's tough for people to get into that one.
Right.
Because I mean, I've max effort, just not even thinking about breaking parallel. I've hit like 63, I think, and that's like not thinking about breaking parallel or anything. And I'm sure if I go back and watch it, there's probably at least 10 or 15 then that are probably no-goes.
Right.
For not breaking parallel. So.
Yeah, because I remember doing one of those before and hitting the 1 minute mark, feeling that I could still go longer. But when I went back, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's not, and again, it's a form thing, I guess, in a sense, the same concept as anything with form, but it takes a lot more control to stop yourself from just jumping and actually know exactly how high you need to get off the ground, basically, and not exceed it to a point where it's going to cut your time down and make it harder for you to get the rep count in there. So
right.
Crystal wants to know snacks and where. Where's the snacks? Oh, Christy commented that during the throwdown event you get snacks and nap time, which it happens. It does happen. But it's not usually, I mean, so let me put it this way. Nap time happens when you get really smoked. And I can see everybody's really struggling. So sometimes we do a little nap time.
Awesome.
Yeah, but again, it's like in Pittsburgh, we did it after we were out in the cold for an extended period of time. They did a bunch of workouts. They came back. Everybody was shivering. Everybody was like bone cold. And I was like, all right, just get in warm clothes, throw your like, you know, whatever you got on top of you, and like just sort of blanket yourself over. You guys have enough time that I will let you sleep, that it's not going to be not worth falling asleep. Because you know how everybody assumes, oh, they're giving us nap time. They're going to wake us up with a blowhorn basically in like 2 minutes. Once, you know, everybody gets comfortable, then they're going to wake us up. I'm like, no, I'm going to give you enough time. Just go to sleep. And I think I gave them a solid 15, 20 minutes of nap time. So again, totally different than other events out there. Because again, I want everybody to be focused on finishing the event. I want everybody to finish the event, but I want to smoke you to a point where you get to that point where you're like, man, this sucks. But at the same time, you're competing against other people. And at the same time, though, those people that you're competing against are pushing you as well. So workout pushes you, and you have other people looking across from you saying, oh, I'm going to beat you. And you're like, no, you're not going to beat me. I'm going to go all out because I missed my 25 get-ups, and I got to catch up now. And I'm
Liz.
So, you know, that's the interesting dynamic that it comes with the throwdowns and servers for that matter.
Yeah.
Let's see right here. We got a couple questions now. Ian wants to know what your favorite exercise is.
Oh, wow. Honestly, probably Carl's.
Carl's? Hey,
yeah,
it's such good exercise.
It's because I absolutely hate it. They take forever, so it's a full body workout and it's a mental grind.
Oh yeah,
I think that's why I like it.
Yep. No, it's literally. I mean, that movement you are using every bit of your body to do, and on top of that. I mean, we all know what 1 rep equals. So, you know, you get done with 1 rep and you're like, was that really 1 rep? Like, you know, you're sitting there thinking like, that should be 2 reps. But no, it's 1 rep. And of course, you know, we don't program like 3 reps typically on that type of movement. So it's like, you know, anywhere from 5 to 8. Hell, I think sometimes I put like 15 in there at some points. You know, so it's definitely a mental grind and a physical grind, all encompassed into 1 movement. So
I'm a big fan of overhead lunges too.
You like those?
I'm such a far away from round 1 on overhead lunges. Yeah. It's not even. So it's like, I mean, I think it was last week I was able to bust out, I think 20 overhead lunges with a 60-pound ruck and a 100-pound sandbag palm.
Whew.
And I did 20 of them straight through. I was so pumped when I did that.
Well, yeah, that's an impressive feat altogether, man. Shit. that's good.
Palm.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Palming it, that's right. You always gotta palm it. Yeah. We've had, I mean, so Jason Goodrich, Sarasota event, I felt so bad because he had his sandbag was floppy, and we were at like 26, 27 hours in. And the AMRAP, I said, everybody's got to palm your sandbag on the overhead presses. So everybody's palming it, and he could not get his to balance out, and it destroyed him. And he was like, I can't do it. I can't get it to balance. I'm done. And he was like, I'm not going to finish this one. I'm like, just keep pushing, man. Try. And that was when he got cut, was because he couldn't get the overhead presses done. But it is what it is, and that's, you know, where we're at. So
yeah.
Tim says he likes the salt.
Oh, I forgot about salt. Yeah.
Well, he says salt for that one.
I been incorporating the vest into my workouts because of Tim, and that with salt is horrible.
Well, yeah, salt by itself is bad enough, man. I think salt, in all honesty, I think salt's probably my least favorite exercise that we've come up with. And then, like you said, Carl Fredrickson's is one of my favorite, but it's also a love-hate relationship, you know, with that as well. So, but yeah, salts, I think when I program salts, I sit there and look at it and I say, why am I doing this to me and everybody else? And I'm like, because it sucks that bad.
Because it sucks.
And yes, we're going to just do it. So
yeah, every single time I look up and see salt, I'm just like,
yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I'm the guy that programs. Christy wants to know, what do you struggle with, if anything?
Overheads.
Overheads? Anything overhead?
Like overhead squats are, I have to say, is my worst form. I think I'm only able to do like really correct pure form with like 45 pounds right now.
Okay.
Which is better than 30 that it was, a year or so ago.
Yeah.
I can overhead squat with like a 60-pound ruck over my head, but arms are bent. It's not straight. I can do it, but it's not good.
Well, so one of the things with in case anybody's thinking overhead stuff's not that hard. So if you do a barbell, the barbell actually is easier because when you hold a barbell, your arms are spaced out further. So you actually have better mobility in your shoulder. With something that's like this, where you're in this position, you really have no mobility except for what mobility you actually have. In that aspect of holding that weight overhead. So it makes it harder having the arms in further versus out further for that aspect. So that's why some people can do like a sandbag overhead squat easier because they can space their arms out further. I mean, it dips in the middle and usually it ends up on top of your head, but it's easier for that. But when you have something where it's a lot skinnier, it makes it a lot more complicated and tough to do.
I've been trying to loosen up my shoulders. I've got a PVC pipe in my basement, and I've been going from here, trying to warm up the shoulders before I do them. That usually helps, and I've made little tick marks to see the improvement on mobility. But
shoot Andy a message.
Okay.
She'll give you stuff. Andy's got stuff for overhead work, so shoot Andy a message. So she's the new person that we have for the yoga stuff. So she'll be able to give you stuff for overhead work. I can tell you that. So
sweet.
Let's see. My wife says I don't have a bad cop bone in my body. I beg to differ. This could go a whole different route. I'm not going there. As I say that, I'm like thinking like everybody on the camera is probably like, as soon as the camera goes off, oh honey, here I go.
That's funny.
Here comes the bad cop. All right, we're gonna cut it right there. All right. Any other questions on here? Oh, let's see here. Christy. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. So she wants to make sure I mention this. I think the other thing that Pittsburgh did was the Versa climbers, and we made them do the Mount Everest Versa climber. So like the climber things, you go like this.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we annihilated them on that. One of the guys actually climbed it and got all the way the full distance, 45 minutes straight. So they had a 45-minute cap. I forget what the actual distance was. I don't know if it was Mount Everest or not. Christy, do you remember if it was Mount Everest or not? See if she responds. But basically, it was a 45-minute cap, and I'd never used the Versa Climber before. So I talked to the guy who was the coach there, and he's like, yeah, you guys can use it. And I was just like, oh, yeah, let's do it. We're here. We might as well do it. So I've used it before, I should say, but I've never done like a full like 45 minutes or anything. So he gave me numbers, and he said, all right, well, at this point in the event, I'd probably say they could probably do this distance in, 50 minutes. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give them that distance in like 45 minutes then. So one of the guys, though, Jorge, who basically is a freaking stud, and hopefully he'll show up. He ended up in second place in Pittsburgh. Hopefully he shows up for the ultimate throwdown. I know he messed up his knee pretty bad recently, but he would be somebody I would expect to see at Cerberus, basically. But then he ended up finishing in like 34 minutes, the full distance.
Wow.
And I mean, this is like we're in the next day of the event, so we're at like 9 a.m. or something. 12 hours in. Him and Chip had been freaking going hard after each other the whole entire event. It was an intense event between those two, and then Christy and Michael were going hard. So it was nice. We had the 4 people doing competitive at that time. We had third and fourth place really going hard against each other, and then we had first and second really going hard against each other. But yeah, he finished it in like 35 minutes or under 35 minutes, and it was like, I mean, everybody was impressed. Even the coach was like, yeah, that's something else. And this is a guy, he wants to get into special ops and stuff and do that stuff. So he's definitely got the mind and body aspect of things going in the right direction for that. So
does he have the age going for him? Because that's the one thing that's going against me is age.
And that's his issue too. He was like 31 or something.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's younger in a sense, but he's older in the aspect of military stuff. But like I said, I don't know what happened. I haven't talked to him recently, but he messed his knee up pretty bad, I guess. He was going to come out to the Twinsburg event, but he destroyed his knee is, I think, the term that was used. So hopefully he's back to good and he's got good recovery going on with that. But yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah, and I made them do it without any music. So they had to do it. It was basically a sauna that we turned the temp up in there, and then they had no music, and it was just a bunch of people fighting for their lives noises, basically, is what she says. So lots of grunting, puffing, and puffing. All right, let me see if anybody else has any other questions. Anything you want to throw in? I mean, that we haven't covered, or?
No, other than you mentioning music. The last workout we did in Colorado was in that park, which was nice. But all you heard was just grunting and sandbags dropping.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. And then hey, you guys got to have a little ice bath though.
Yes, we did. That was nice. That was nice.
Twice you got to get in that. So
yeah,
which was good. It was hot that day.
It was hot.
It was hot. I was sort of surprised how hot it got that day.
And wasn't the plan to go to Garden of the Gods too?
Yeah, and then I was like, you guys would basically be in a frying pan, so I fell back on my plan B. So I'm nice in some aspects. I'm not nice in other aspects, but I'd rather not, put you guys in a skillet basically and let you fry. I did that in Sarasota already, so I didn't want to copy that part of the event.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Sarasota, we finished with God of Chaos 30 minutes on a black concrete or blacktop driveway area or whatever in front of the gym, and it was 95 degrees and just sweat pouring and everything. So
gross.
Yeah, it was nasty. So I didn't want to do that to you guys.
What's the weather supposed to be like in Charleston in March?
If I remember right, like high 60s, low 70s. Pretty mild. It's not going to be. I would aim for 60s. Is probably what I would assume. Who knows at this point what it's going to be like, but if I remember right, it's like 60s is sort of the range, somewhere in the 60s. So it's mild. It's not winter. It's not summer though.
I've already done my winter events over. Isn't that in the North Carolina or South Carolina?
South Carolina. Yeah. So it's down in the southern part of South Carolina, basically.
Okay.
So it's just bordering like Georgia and stuff like that.
Okay.
I get called out of my states here by somebody, I'm sure. I haven't looked at a map recently.
There's always somebody.
Yeah. But yeah, it shouldn't be too bad there. Weather's weather. You never know what you're going to get, though. So
I was just overly curious. I'll do it in whatever.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me too. I got no choice, but but no, it's going to be a fun event. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
So, All right, looks like we have no more questions coming through, so I guess we will call it a day here, and
All right.
let you go do what you got to do. It's what, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock there or so?
8:17.
8 o'clock. Okay, so 2 hour
Yeah.
difference. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, you have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you in Charleston. Hopefully, we'll
All
see
right.
you in Salt Lake City first.
Right. Cool.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Hey, you too. Take it easy.